Pack your bags, we're headed on a big old ride. With dreams of sunlit shores and the open skies. From the hills of Cyprus to where the world collides.
Okay, so let's unpack this.
Yeah.
We're taking a deep dive into a blog post about a trip to Stockholm.
All right.
From March 2001.
Sounds chilly.
Yeah, we're talking, seriously, chilly weather, frozen harbors,
Yeah.
and cozy cafes, all through the lens of a couple who would later make their home in sunny Cyprus.
I see.
So get ready for some beautiful imagery and maybe some wanderlust.
Okay, cool.
So right away, what jumps out to you is how this trip predates their move to Cyprus.
Right, by several years.
By several years, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a snapshot of their lives before the Mediterranean sun and the laid-back island vibes.
Pre-Cyprus Rob and Mandy braving the Scandinavian winter.
Exactly.
It seems like Rob was a little surprised by just how cold Stockholm can be in March. He mentioned stepping off the plane and being hit by that crisp, icy air.
Brr.
Mandy, though, seemed completely unfazed.
Oh, wow. So she's used to it already.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It makes you wonder if their reactions to the weather foreshadow their eventual move to Cyprus.
Interesting thought.
Maybe Mandy's comfort in the cold hints at a certain resilience.
Yeah.
While Rob's initial shock speaks to a desire for warmer climates.
Makes sense.
That's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
It's like those early impressions might have subtly shaped their future choices. But even with the chill, Rod was captivated by Stockholm's beauty.
Beautiful city.
He talks about the pastel-colored buildings against a gray sky, the elegant streets.
Very elegant.
He even senses a hint of spring.
Yeah.
Waiting in the wings. Even though winter still had a firm grip.
Oh, yeah.
On the city.
Definitely still winter.
I love how he describes the harbor. He talks about the water being partially frozen. With chunks of ice clinking together.
Wow.
Like glass.
I can hear it.
It's such a vivid sensory detail, especially coming from someone who had only ever seen frozen water in pictures before.
Right, just picture.
You could almost hear Mandy chuckling.
Yeah, I can imagine.
At his amazement.
Yeah.
She's already used to it.
Totally.
Which tells you a lot about their dynamic, even back then.
Back then, yeah.
Okay, so they're bundled up.
All right.
They're taken in the harbor views. And now they're headed to Gamla Stan, Stockholm's old town.
Yeah.
Cobblestone streets, ancient buildings, and charming little shops.
It's like a fairy tale.
It sounds like something out of a fairy tale.
Sure.
And, of course, no trip to Gamla Stan is complete without ducking into a cafe
of course,
to escape the cold.
Right, to warm up.
I bet that hot chocolate was incredible.
The best.
Those little cafes are famous for their cozy atmosphere and rich, decadent treats.
So cozy.
Did they mention what kind of hot chocolate?
Oh, you know.
They had.
Yeah.
I always make a point of trying local specialties when I travel.
Of course, yeah.
But okay, despite the frigid temperatures, Rob and Mandy were determined to explore.
They're troopers.
So where did they go next?
Well, they went to the Natural History Museum.
The Natural History Museum.
Which, considering the weather, seems quite fitting.
Yeah.
It's not just a warm refuge from the cold, but it's also packed with fascinating exhibits.
Okay.
They were particularly drawn to the Arctic section, learning about how humans, animals, and plants survive in such extreme conditions.
It's like they were immersing themselves in the reality of the cold surrounding them.
Totally.
Almost a crash course in adaptation and resilience.
Like a little preview for their future.
Do you think that experience, surrounded by the stories of Arctic survival, might have planted a seed?
Interesting.
Maybe it subtly reinforced
possibly
their eventual choice to seek a warmer, perhaps less demanding climate in Cyprus.
It's possible. Yeah.
It's definitely possible.
Yeah.
After all, we're talking about a couple who eventually traded snow-covered streets for sunny beaches.
Quite a contrast.
And contrast is striking. Speaking of contrasts,
their
next stop takes them from the natural world to a magnificent piece of history.
Yes.
A Vasa Museum.
The Vasa Museum.
Quite a shift from the Arctic exhibits.
Right.
Equally fascinating.
Before we dive into that,
okay,
I want to touch on something that's been running through my mind.
Okay.
We're seeing Rob and Mandy seek warmth in different ways throughout this day.
Okay.
There's the literal warmth of the cafes and museums, but there's also the warmth of their shared experience.
Yeah.
The joy of exploring a new city together.
That's a good point.
That's a beautiful observation.
Yeah.
It speaks to a deeper layer of their journey.
Cold.
Yes, they're physically experiencing the cold, but there's also this emotional warmth, this sense of connection that transcends the temperature. And the Vasa Museum delivers both kinds of warmth.
Okay.
It's physically warmer inside, of course.
Right.
But there's also a certain reverence, a hushed atmosphere that envelops you as you stand in the presence of this incredible ship.
You know, it's one thing to read about the Vasa.
Right.
But to imagine actually being there, standing before this massive, nearly intact 17th century warship.
Wow.
That must have been awe-inspiring.
Yeah.
Rob mentions feeling the weight of history, the sheer scale and grandeur of it all.
Yeah.
Did he go into detail?
He did, yeah.
About the ship itself?
Absolutely.
Okay.
He talks about the intricate carvings, particularly on the stern, depicting scenes from mythology and symbol of the Swedish Empire's power.
Okay.
You can practically feel the ambition that went into its creation.
Yeah.
And yet knowing that this magnificent vessel sank just minutes into her maiden voyage.
Oh, wow.
Adds a layer of tragedy to the experience. Absolutely. Yeah. Rob described the crunch
of fresh snow underfoot.
We can hear it.
The stillness of the air, broken only by the occasional bird call. Or the rustle of wind through the branches.
Wow.
He even mentions a fine mist of snow drifting from the trees, sparkling in the light.
It sounds so peaceful.
It sounds magical, like something out of a snow globe.
Totally.
You know, it's interesting how Mandy seems so at ease in this winter wonderland.
No, she's loving it.
It's a stark contrast to Rob's initial discomfort with the cold.
He's ready for Cyprus.
It makes you wonder if on some level they were already drawn to different aspects of life. Perhaps Mandy was embracing the beauty of that stark wintry landscape.
I like that.
And that's the beauty of these deep dives, isn't it?
It is.
We're not just learning about a place or an event. We're exploring the human experience. The motivations and desires that shape our lives.
Totally.
Exactly. And this deep dive into Rob and Mandy's Stockholm adventure leaves us with a question to ponder.
Okay.
How do our travel experiences, even those that seem vastly different from our everyday lives, influence our choices and shape our dreams for the future?
Great question.
Perhaps a bit of wanderlust is all it takes to set those wheels in motion.
Yeah, maybe.
Who knows? Maybe your next trip will spark a change you never saw coming.
Very true.
A new life plan where we never hide.
Out on the highway, chasing the tide.